900 million people used ChatGPT last week. Almost none of them know what is actually happening on the other side of that screen. So in the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you the real mechanism. No maths, no jargon, no buzzwords. And by the end, you will use it differently than you do today, because you will finally know what it is doing. 3 things in this order. What ChatGPT actually does when you hit send, how it learned to do that, and why the same mechanism that makes it sound brilliant also makes it confidently wrong. Then, right at the end, the part you can use immediately, the prompt upgrades that take 30 seconds and change what you get back. Let me show you the whole trick in one picture. The cat sat on the... what? Probably mat. Your phone would guess the same. That is genuinely it. ChatGPT looks at everything written so far and works out which word is most likely to come next. Not the only possible word, the most likely one. Here it gives mat about 60%, roof 14%, and a long tail of everything else. Now, here's the part that surprises people. It picks a word, adds it to the text, and then asks the same question again, and again, and again. Sentence, paragraph, entire essay. All of it comes out of that one loop running a few hundred times. There is no plan, there is no draft. It does not know how the sentence ends when it starts writing it, which means one thing that trips up almost everybody. ChatGPT is not searching the internet. It is not looking anything up in a database. It has no little library in the back. It looks like it knows things. What it actually has is a very, very good sense of which word comes next. Hold on to that difference. It explains every single thing that goes wrong later. Quick check, because this is the one that matters. Which of these is ChatGPT actually doing? Searching the internet for your answer, predicting the next word over and over, or looking the answer up in a database. Have a think. It is the middle one. And if that surprised you, you are in exactly the right video. Before it can predict anything, it chops your text into chunks called tokens. A token is roughly 4 letters, or about 3/4 of a word. Look what happens to the question, how does ChatGPT work? That is 7 tokens, and the brand name alone eats 3 of them. ChatGPT. The model never sees the word ChatGPT. It sees 3 unrelated pieces. That is why it sometimes miscounts letters or mangles unusual names. And tokens are rationed. Every model has a limit on how much it can hold in view at once. The context window. Current models handle around 128,000 tokens, which is roughly a 90,000-word novel. But the moment your conversation gets longer than that, the oldest part quietly falls out of view. So when ChatGPT forgets something you told it 20 messages ago, it is not being careless. Those words are simply gone. It cannot see them anymore. Which gives you your first practical rule. If a chat has gone long and it starts drifting, do not argue with it. Start a fresh chat and paste in what still matters. So how did it get good at this? 3 stages, and the sizes are wildly different. Stage 1, pre-training. It reads an enormous amount of text, books, websites, code, transcripts, and plays the guess the next word game billions of times, adjusting itself every time it is wrong. Months of this, on thousands of specialized chips. What comes out is called a base model. Clever but strange. Ask it a question, and it might just carry on as if it were writing a homework sheet. Stage 2, supervised fine-tuning. Humans write thousands of example conversations where the assistant answers properly. Helpful, structured, polite. The model learns to imitate that shape. Now it knows what a good answer looks like. Stage 3 is the one that made the difference. Reinforcement learning from human feedback. Humans are shown several possible answers to the same question and rank them, best to worst. That ranking trains a separate scoring model, and the main model is then tuned to score highly. Look at the sizes again. Stage 1 is gigantic. Stage 3 is tiny. And Stage 3 is the reason it feels like talking to something helpful, instead of a very well-read autocomplete. Now the catch, and it follows directly from everything so far. If the whole machine is pick the most likely next word, what happens when it does not know? It does not stop. It does not say no idea. It picks the most likely sounding next word and keeps going. You get an answer that reads perfectly and is completely invented. We call those hallucinations. And the confidence is the dangerous part. A made-up citation looks exactly like a real one. A made-up statistic has decimal places. In 2025, OpenAI's own researchers published a paper arguing that this is not a bug that will be patched out. Given how these models are trained and scored, some rate of confident error is mathematically unavoidable. In that same paper, they asked a leading chatbot for the title of a real doctoral thesis, written by one of the paper's own authors. It gave 3 different answers, all delivered with total confidence, and all 3 were wrong. So here's the first proper trick, and it costs you 4 words. Add think step by step to your question. That sounds like folklore, but there is a mechanism behind it. Remember, it only ever produces the next word from what is already on the page. If it jumps straight to an answer, there is no working for it to build on. If it writes the reasoning out first, that reasoning becomes part of the text it is predicting from, and it catches some of its own mistakes on the way through. You are not making it smarter, you are giving it more to work with. Second trick, and this one is my favorite because almost nobody uses it. When you get an answer, send this. Now criticize your own answer and list what might be wrong with it. It will do it, and it is often uncomfortably good at it, because spotting weaknesses in a piece of text is exactly the kind of thing it saw millions of examples of. It will flag the shaky claim, the missing caveat, the number it is not sure about. 2 messages. That is the difference between a confident answer and a checked one. Alongside those, 3 habits worth having. Treat every specific number, name, and citation as unverified until you have checked it somewhere else. Those are exactly the details it invents most easily. Turn on web search when the answer depends on anything recent, otherwise it only knows what it read during training. And ask for sources you can actually open. If it cannot give you a link that works, treat the claim as a maybe. Right, the last piece, and this is the one you can use in the next 5 minutes. Watch what happens to the same request. On the left, write about dogs. You get exactly what you asked for. Something about dogs, true, generic, completely useless. On the right, same idea, 30 seconds more thought. You are a vet writing for first-time owners. Give me 5 bullets, under 20 words each, friendly tone. Same model, same second. Utterly different answer, because the second one told it who it is speaking as, who is reading, and what shape the answer should take. 5 words to remember. Role, who it should be. Audience, for who is reading. Format, bullets, table, paragraphs. Length, give it a number. Tone, how it should sound. You will not need all 5 every time, but every one you add removes a guess the model would otherwise make for you. That is really all prompting is, leaving it less to guess. So, quick recap. ChatGPT predicts the next word, over and over. It is autocomplete with an extraordinary memory for how language works, not a search engine. It learned in 3 stages. Reading almost everything, copying good example answers, then being tuned by human rankings. The same mechanism that makes it fluent makes it confidently wrong, so verify anything specific. And 2 habits change everything. Ask it to think step by step, then ask it to criticize itself. If this made ChatGPT feel less like magic and more like a tool you actually understand, subscribe. Next up, we break down how AI agents work, and why they are a very different animal from a chatbot. Thanks for watching.